once you decided that you're going to become a software developer, what were some of the challenges in actually getting that first job and actually breaking into the field?
I mean, there are a lot of challenges. One is, I would say, for everyone. A couple of them were just for me personally. First, talk about the general issues that people face. Obviously, it's a very competitive field at the same time because it's lucrative. So you see a lot of young people take a lot of interest into technology. Everybody, even if people who have done, let's say, they've done electronics branch or listen mechanical, civil, they also eventually get into tech only, right? So
Yeah.
you have quite like huge competition. So obviously you have coding rounds, you have to be very good at, and not just having the passion and interest, but you have to be able to crack those interviews, which takes a lot of effort, a lot of hard work at the same time. So of course, getting through that obviously was the first hurdle. And for me, one of the problem I had was I liked building projects, building applications. I never liked the part of DSA, data structures and algorithm. I wasn't very good at it also. And I like a lot of my friends used to do code chef and code forces at that point of time. Maybe I didn't also start it in the right way. I started with some difficult questions and I just then thought it's not meant for me. And I think that is very crucial to actually get into these companies, right? Because even if, let's say, you're a very good front-end engineer or back-end engineer, if you're not good at these DSA rounds, you won't be able to clear the first few rounds, right? So I think not having that knowledge until my fourth year was a sort of a wrong thing. I had a lot of projects with me, but was not equipped with the knowledge of DSA. So I started again doing DSA back in fourth year. So I think that was one hurdle, to do it in a faster period of time to actually be able to crack a bunch of companies. So that was number one. And I think number two, and more importantly, another issue that the issue that I had personally, I used to have stutter in my speech. I wouldn't say used to, I still have stutter in my speech. And because of stammering, so my entire childhood, I always had stammerings. I always used to, let's say, ignore vivas, avoid vivas as much as possible, be quiet. I was very introvert in my sort of, you can say, college days and school days because of the problem, which retrospectively I feel that I didn't handle it the right way. And one of the main issues when you have a problem like that is you always want to hide it, right? And that was a hurdle when my interview started, right? The first round used to be a coding. Let's say I'm able to clear it. When I go to the first interview round, my first intention and focus was to hide my problem. So I did all my speech therapy and all the bunch of things on how to hide it. Now, I used to speak in some kind of a speech therapeutical accent or something like that. And the problem was, in a coding round, generally like 50% of times or 80% of the time, you get a new problem. So you have to put all your brains into that problem, solving that problem. But my 80% focus was actually to speak in a certain accent, avoid the problem of stammering. And then eventually, maybe I didn't stutter that much, but I wasn't able to solve those problems, right? So that was sort of a very wrong part that I had taken. And I got injections in like first 12, 13 interviews in college. And then I think that was a realization part that I'm still stammering, I'm still having the problem. And I think at that point of time, I had this understanding that if the interviewer comes to know that I have a stutter, he or she will never select me because I won't be able to, let's say, work in the corporate world, which was very misunderstood. I think if you see all the big tech companies or all firms in general as well, they appreciate people from all. If somebody has a problem, a disability also, everybody is appreciated, everybody is included. It's a very inclusive sort of firms. I think that was sort of a part where I was misunderstood. I think one of my mentors, he actually helped me. He told me that, start focusing on the problem, and the first thing you should say, just accept your problem. I think acceptance of a problem is the hardest part, but once you go through it, the interview is very easy for you. So then I started this process when in every interview I used to my first line used to be like, I'm Samrid and I have a stammering problem and I might, let's say, get stuck at some point. So please excuse me for that. I think that really relaxed me for that entire interview, because I knew that I don't have to fake it anymore and just focus on the actual content of the question. And I think that helped me get into the first few rounds. First of all, like first 10 interviews, I was just out in the first round only. Then at least I started going past few rounds. Then finally Barclays was the company that I was able to crack. And I still remember the last round. It had 3-4 rounds, and when I reached the last round, it was so much anxiety, and I said I have to clear it. And then for a stammerer, when anxiety kicks in, your problem even is worse, right? So in that HR round where they focus on your communication skills, right, and not your technical skills, there I was stammering like anything. But then I think this is where they had this India head, they have the HR head. It's anyway scary for any person of college student, right? So I still remember I was stammering, but I think they were focusing on the content that I was saying. And I think I got cleared into it. So it just goes on to show that interviews actually see beyond a problem that you have, and they see the person within you, the sort of the aptitude and the knowledge that you have, rather than just focusing on one problem. So I think overall, and once I've got into it, it automatically increased my confidence to some extent. I improved myself also. And if you see now, I don't stutter to that extent as well. So I think overall it helped me pursue my life more happily without so much of stutter.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that personal story. I think, as you rightly said, accepting first that, yes, this is what I am going through, but then also then becoming comfortable with it and sharing with it. And in tech, especially, we are so lucky that tech is a very inclusive community, that it is very meritocratic. It is about what you bring to the table in terms of your aptitude, in terms of your skill, in terms of your ideas, your creativity. I think that is one of the most wonderful parts. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Sure. My pleasure.